Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help. And King of Floors, your vinyl, laminate, and engineered flooring superstore.
Able Auctions and King of Floors. All of our guests on Friday, including Jeff Paterson, who's coming up, brought to you by Langley Chrysler. They have the vehicle for your next summer adventure. Whether you need a Jeep for the beach or a Ram for the fam, you can save up to $12,000 online or on land at langleychrysler.com. You have something from the Delaney's OK Tire and Langley inbox.
Yeah, this is from Wayne and Courtney. The Canucks are the second lightest team in the NHL. Donnie and Dolly are the second heaviest team on television. Hey, Wayne.
I think we're the first.
No, just hold on a sec. Hey, Wayne, the camera puts pounds on you. You know that because you've been in television all your life.
Yeah, and apparently it also makes you lose hair. So there's that. Well, let's help out the fitness level of this show by bringing in Jeff Paterson. How are you, Jeff? We got Jeff? Right? Okay. Jeff, you there?
I'm here. Hi, guys.
Yeah.
Hey, Jeff.
There you go. Did you happen to catch Travis's interview? I know you're a regular viewer of the show.
Yeah, actually, I was listening. I was watching some YouTube videos of Ziggy Palffy. I don't know if you knew he played with Travis on.
Is that a shot?
Tell my co-host.
Yeah. Anyways.
Anything stick out? He talked about Quinn Hughes and Alex Edler, about his extension. What stuck out for you?
I was a little surprised to hear him say that he hasn't had his sort of year-end meeting with Alex Edler yet. Like, I thought the exit meetings were done, but he talked about, obviously, they've had the coaching staff to figure out and finalize, and they've taken care of that, so perhaps there are still some player meetings that have to take place. But that jumped out at me. I just thought that all the exit meetings would have been done, and maybe they did an exit meeting with Alex Edler. Perhaps he has to have more discussions with Edler just in terms of his future and guys like Hamnick, obviously, Brandon Sutter, some of the veteran guys that the Canucks, I think, have some interest in retaining, but we'll see how it all works out there. But otherwise, it seems like he's in a pretty good headspace. I would imagine that finalizing the coaching staff, it allows him now to have a little bit of certainty of, what he's got to work with, who he has to work with. And I would think it would probably, reinvigorate him. 4 years, 3 of them have been pretty tough seasons. Last year in the bubble, obviously, some excitement around the hockey club. But now you get some fresh blood in with Brad Shaw and also Kyle Gustafson, who clearly Travis has a lot of time for, respect for. There's a friendship and a rapport there. And I would think that Travis is pretty excited to give this guy his first opportunity to coach at the National Hockey League level.
Jeff, Travis Green has said, Brad Shaw has said, that they don't necessarily think the game the same way. What does that say about Travis, that he is accepting Brad Shaw as part of his coaching staff, even though they might not be of the same mind?
Yeah, I think that it's a reflection that he knows that he has to continue to improve as a coach, and his entire staff has to get better here. And so, you don't want, maybe some people want to be surrounded by yes men, but I think, people that are secure in their job are all right if they have people on their staff that are willing to challenge them or, present differing views. Like, I don't imagine that it's going to get to blows in the coach's office or, screaming matches about things, but I think it's healthy for an organization, particularly one that needs to improve, if a guy like Brad Shaw, who has some terrific experience and, he's worked under Ken Hitchcock. He's worked under Andy Murray. He's worked with Torts here recently. He's been a player himself in the National Hockey League, so he and Travis, they share that experience, even though one was a defenseman and one was a forward. But, he can come in and sort of take stock of what Travis does as a head coach and the way the organization operates. And I would think that Brad Shaw would be confident in himself with the experience that he has to speak up and just point out things that he either likes or doesn't like. So I think it's a different set of eyes, a guy with some great experience. And I like the fact that Brad Shaw on the radio the other day on 650, he said, I'm an associate coach without the title. So, he's been an associate coach in the National Hockey League in St. Louis. He was hired as an assistant and then given the title of associate coach. Here he's brought in as an assistant, but I think it's pretty clear that he's being brought in above guys like Nolan Baumgartner and Jason King. And so, he's got a little bit of head coaching experience, briefly from the island. And so I just think, I think it's been a good week for the Canucks and this coaching staff announcement, whether it's a veteran guy like Brad Shaw, whether it's a young guy like Kyle Gustafson. And just, look, getting Ian Clark back is probably the biggest, the news of the week, like for where we all thought that story was headed. And Clark himself admitted that he was prepared to move on, that he thought maybe that it wasn't going to get done, and then to get a 5-year extension for Ian Clark. And when you look around the playoffs now, Vasilevsky in Tampa, Marc-Andre Fleury in Vegas. Donnie, I heard you right off the top talking about Colorado perhaps overpassing the puck.
Yeah.
I think that some of that was a product of Marc-Andre Fleury was in their head. Like, it got to that point in the series where just average shots weren't going to get the job done, that Colorado got a little too precise, I think, and some of that was probably the job Marc-Andre Fleury did. And ultimately, when you look at that series, goaltending was a huge part of it. Grubauer was okay, but I wouldn't go a whole lot better than that. And even though Marc-Andre Fleury gave up the bad one to Brandon Saad to start Game 5, otherwise, he went into lockdown mode and was lights out good, which is an incredible story at this stage of his career and all that he's done for the Vegas Golden Knights. But I wondered if maybe Colorado was getting a little too particular because Marc-Andre Fleury was in their head.
Can you see Montreal giving Vegas a go?
Oh, I would pick Vegas. I will pick Vegas, but I've bet against Montreal every step of the way here, so I do so at my own peril, I suppose. We talk about Marc-Andre Fleury. We've seen that Carey Price can certainly dial it up and has here in the playoffs. I think for me, the thing that I look at with Montreal, so much of their success, they've been able to get leads. Like, they didn't trail at any point in the Winnipeg series. I think they've scored first in the last 7 games that they've played. Teams like that, if they get out in front, then they can lock down and try to frustrate opponents. Now, I think Vegas has shown, Vegas got scored on early last night. They were down 2-0 in Game 5. Like, that doesn't seem to matter to them. But for Montreal, the difference between getting a lead and being able to dictate the way you want to play or falling behind, because Montreal just doesn't have the firepower. And I think if Montreal falls behind, kind of like the Canucks on a lot of nights this season, we saw that, 1-0 shouldn't be a death sentence for you in a hockey game, but the Canucks had so much trouble overcoming even a 1-goal deficit. I think Montreal is going to be in that same sort of boat. So if they fall behind Vegas, I think Montreal's in trouble. But if Montreal can get the lead, then we've seen, like, they were able to frustrate a Toronto team. They kept the Winnipeg top scorers in check, and we'll see what they do. I mean, they're stepping up a weight class without a doubt, but Carey Price against Marc-Andre Fleury. Marc-Andre Fleury, a Quebec native, going back to Montreal. Like, there's some juicy storylines. Max Pacioretty, obviously. Yep. So, looking forward to it. And I like the matchup on the other side. Although I have to admit, like, I have totally forgotten that the Islanders and Tampa played in the Eastern Conference Final a year ago.
A year ago,
6 games. Yeah. But, like, until I read that, I was like, oh, yeah. I don't recall the Islanders advancing. And they had to play in the play-in round as well. So Islanders got on a bit of a run last year, and here they are doing it again.
I think size is going to be, as every July 1st, I know the new date is July 28th. I see a lot of teams already saying we need to improve our size, Jeff. Pittsburgh's the second smallest team in the NHL. Brian Burke's going to go hunting for size. 3 heaviest teams in the NHL are in the Final 4. Canucks got to get bigger too. I think on the blue line as well. Do you see them, Jeff, trying to get to beef up and get bigger?
Oh, they got to get bigger. They got to get faster. They just got to get better. And we've heard that this management group, and you guys had Sven Berchi on yesterday, and devoted a fair bit of time to the heavy skill versus soft skill. Like, that's been, it's been this organization's MO here recently to bring in heavy skill, and yet they're still, one of the lightest teams in the National Hockey League. So I think that tells you that, yes, there's work to be done. We know that Quinn Hughes, size is an issue for him at times. Jack Rathbone isn't a particularly big guy. And you look at Vegas, Colorado, and it's probably not fair to single out one player, but Samuel Girard is a terrific defenseman for the Colorado Avalanche, but he's undersized. And that Vegas team is just relentless in the way they go to the net, and there was the 1 goal last night, the Carrier goal, where Girard, just didn't do anything to tie up his man. And over the course of those 6 games, Vegas outscored Colorado 12-5 at even strength with Girard on the ice. So it was a tough series for Sam Girard. It's not fair to single one guy out, but when it comes to heavy hockey, where it's a war of attrition, sometimes it can be a struggle for guys that don't have the size advantage. And so, I think all teams, you're looking for, big bodies that can play, but that Vegas team, they've got size through the lineup. I always wondered if a player like Braden McNabb would be able to hold up his end of the bargain on defense, and yet he's been there since day one and is a pillar on defense. I thought Pietrangelo was terrific, and obviously there's a guy that's got size and can do it all. So
nice, cool.
I give Vegas a ton of credit, guys. Down 2-0 in the series, down 2-0 in Game 5 the other night, and there's just no quit. There's no quit. That's in their DNA. It's been that way since day one, and we'll see. Again, I would anticipate that they don't have too much of a problem with the Montreal Canadiens, but the Habs have been a great story, and I'm sure that they'll do what they can to offer up the resistance that is required to make some headway here in this series against the Golden Knights.
Outstanding. Thanks so much, Jeff. We'll talk to you next Wednesday.
Have a great weekend, guys.